All right, so for the worst of Leowolf TV Season 9, we're going to basically talk about the ones that are, well, the worst. But they're not just the worst. I'm also going to talk about ones that I don't feel that strongly about, but I don't feel, I don't feel like, okay, I don't hate them, but at the same time, I don't love them. So they're going to stay up and regardless. But even if it's worst, even anything on this list, I'm going to still keep up. Now I may change my mind, because there is a couple of them on here that I'm just like, oh. There's two that comes to mind, and we're going to talk about those right now. Um, but for the most part, we're not going to delete them. We're not going to delete anything that I say is the worst of at this time. That may change. Don't know yet. Well, first is the Snow White live action 2025, I believe, or 2024 Snow White with Rachel Zegler. Okay, yeah, we know all the. Okay, if you know about all the controversy behind it from Rachel Zegler, running her mouth, and then just everything behind it, like the from the trolls, not trolls. Oh, God, well, yeah, the trolls against the movie, I should say, but I was meaning the dwarves, like from the dwarves not actually being cast. They used CGI, all this stuff. I didn't want to do this, but I made a poll and said, "Hey, would y'all like to see me do a spoof of it?" About, I think, 10 people, because I don't have that many people that vote. Sometimes I do, and it's really weird because, like, sometimes I could do a poll and I'll get like 30 votes, but then, like, sometimes I'll do a poll and it may get 3 votes for several months. Anyway, I got about, I think, at least 10. So, yeah, when I did this spoof, I did not want to do any controversial takes or anything like that because I didn't care. At the end of the day, we don't know these people in real life. A lot of people are driven by politics and their political side and stuff like that, but a lot of people are driven by their politics, and that's not really how they feel. They're just basically, they see something and it just completely sets them off. They're triggered, as it were. So, what am I talking about? Why am I talking about that? Is bottom line, I wanted to play it safe. I'm like, because I didn't want to say something, because I don't feel very strongly about a lot of this stuff. Sure, she said some things that kind of annoyed me, but I'm not going to hate the person for that. But anyway, uh, yeah, so whenever it came to the spoof, I put up a disclaimer letting people know that no, this is probably not what you want to see in a spoof. You probably want me to tear it apart, but that's not really what you're going to get. I did acknowledge a couple of jokes that other people have made, such as Rachel Zegler's horrible acting, arguably her directing, of how, like, whenever she has a knife up to her throat, it's supposed, from what I gather, it was supposed to look like she's scared, but she's defiantly leaning forward, like, if you're gonna do it, do it. But that's not what I get. Like, it's like, it's supposed to look like she's facing her death. But I didn't get that because her eyes are looking off in the distance somewhere that's not in front of her, and she don't look like she's leaning into the dagger. It looks like she's just kind of like sticking her bottom jaw out and just going like it's almost like she's trying to hide her, like she's trying to like keep her jaw away from the knife, like as if a dog is jumping up trying to give her a kiss. It's kind of weird. Yeah, some people made fun of that, and I'm like, you know what? Somebody made the whole AI video where they did the whole, uh, what's it called, sling blade joke, where he has like a jaw that looks like it's slanted and stuff. So I made that joke. Sure. Do I feel very strongly about it? Not really. I just basically said, you know what? It tickled me at the time because I thought it was funny because she sounded like Sling Blade. I was not making fun of special needs people at all. I don't approve of those types of jokes, but yeah, so this spoof, it's not really my favorite, and it's not really one I enjoyed necessarily doing or really had a lot of fun doing. I think the only joke that I really actually had fun making this video with was, sorry, I'm watching the video as I'm doing this. So anyway, uh, the there was a couple of jokes that was kind of fun, such as like my sister trying to get in on it. Like we was watching it and you hear her in the credits and how she reacted to certain things. Also, like the whole magic mirror joke in the beginning. I enjoyed doing that. That was fun because it was like the safe jokes I enjoyed doing. I'll say that right out the gate. The safer jokes I enjoyed doing. Like, do you know what I'm allergic to? Bullshit. You know, I'm like, and I couldn't figure out which one to go with that iRobot or Mr. Deed, so I just did both. And then we have like the whole magic touch thing. Uh, I I didn't know what to do there, so I kind of felt like there were. It was one of them times where if I had certain people in the room with me, I know how they would think and what they would jump to the conclusion of. So I tried to. It was like I'm gonna beat them to the punch. Like, oh, their hand is glowing. Oh, the only way they could find treasure is if their right hand is glowing. And I'm like, or if their hand is glowing. Why is their hand glowing? What have they been doing with their hand? And I'm like, so I'll admit I made a pervy joke where it's a masturbating joke. So, like I said, that wasn't. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Look, right out the gate, I'm not gonna say too much about this one. This one's probably gonna be taken down because I did not feel very strongly about it. I felt like I was trying too hard to be like, look, I can be edgy too, but it just, my heart wasn't in it. I wasn't really into this spoof. I didn't like the movie. I didn't want to deal with the controversy. So I apologize for not giving y'all better content. So, moving on. Okay. Uh, this is another one that I'm not really that crazy about, and I definitely will admit that it is not my best work, and it's not really funny. I'm not gonna lie. There might be maybe one or two jokes in here that might be funny. Um, this one definitely leaned more on the clever jokes route, I would say. Because I won't say that they weren't clever. Like I didn't just think any of these jokes through or anything. Because like they're just whatever popped in my head. I mean, like this joke here, like what's my name? What's my name? Like I'm like, not the best joke, but I'm like, it popped in my head and thought it'd be kind of funny. Just so, eh, it's all right. But this was another one of the spoofs that I did at the time where I had like little fun facts kind of sprinkled in at the end, but only I put it at the end. Whereas normally I would put it sprinkled around throughout the video or at the beginning of the video. This one was put at the end because at the time I was showing this to two of my friends and like they just didn't really care for like the educational aspects of it, like or the informative aspects of it. So I'm like, okay, this is an experiment that I'm trying and it's not really coming out working that well. So if I'm gonna do this, I'll put it at the end just before the credits. I will also acknowledge that one of the facts that I put at the end of the video was I basically said twice with two different pop-ups saying they weren't even two different. They were two pop-ups that I thought were saying different things, but they were actually the same thing twice. Of it saying that unicorns in the Bible are not actually magical horses with one horn and they're not magical deities or anything like that. Unicorn was actually referred to in the Bible. It was a mistranslation in the King James Bible where basically the unicorn was actually a one-horned ox. It was a beast of burden type deal, and the unicorn in a history that people talk about that the other people try and say like, oh well, this was a real unicorn, a real horse, and everything. That's actually not true either. It was what is called a woolly rhino. It was a prehistoric rhino that is like the only. Well, hang on, I'm mixing two different things here. Hold up. It was most of the time in our history, it was a one horned animal like a goat or a ram or something like that. But there was an actual skeleton of a unicorn found, and people were like, see, it's a horse. No, after further examination, it was actually not a horse, it was a woolly rhino. It was an extinct species of rhinoceros. Case in point, if you want to know what it looks like, this rhino basically is the same thing that the Mandalorian fights the mud rhino or the mud beast or whatever it's called or whatever. It's literally the exact same thing as that thing. It looks very similar to that, which I thought was just wholly funny. Whenever I saw it, wholly funny. I was about to say it was completely funny. Whenever I first saw it, I'm like, why is he fighting a unicorn? Anyway, but I digress. Yeah, this spoof wasn't all that funny. I didn't know what else to do with this because I grew up watching the movie and I enjoyed it, but man, it has not aged well for me. It is just I find it boring now because it's just such a slow paced movie. Dull characters that I'm not really interested in. The main character, the wizard, is not likable really. The female supposed love interest comes off as a smoker's wife, like maybe she's been smoking since she was 3 type of voice, and she looks it too. I'm like, she's not what, and she's supposed to be older, obviously. And I found out in the book that the wizard is actually ancient. He's actually several hundred years old, and he's actually been cursed to look like a young person, so nobody would ever take him seriously. The movie does not execute that at all. It just basically says he's an idiot and he doesn't know how to do magic. And they just kind of allude that he's done magic in the past, but I digress. I didn't care for like the whole story of like, oh well, that prince is still in love with her even if she's a horse. I'm like, ew, bestiality, gross. I get it. He didn't understand. He was still ignoring whatever they were trying to tell him. I get it, but it it still comes off that way, like, oh, no matter what, I'll still love her forever. And then like this scene here where she uh tells him, oh well, maybe you should try to win her heart another way. I'm like, okay, priorities. Okay, what the hell? I know she's just, you could argue that maybe she's just talking to him, just trying to placate him, just to get him to shut up, while he's there. But then she goes right here and immediately starts talking to her and telling her, you need to talk to him. He loves you. You should love him back. And I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like, I'm sure in the book it probably executed this much better. Maybe. I don't know. Somebody could fill me in on that later on. But yeah, I didn't really know too much what to do with this one. I struggled with making jokes about this because I do still kind of like the movie, so it was hard to make fun of it. So, alright, with all that being said, let's move on to the next one. Okay, I'm not going to be too long on this one because I've already said everything I needed to say in the actual video itself. However, let me just address this right now. Again, let me reiterate. No, I do not care about the controversies in the video. I'm not picking a side because it was stupid and frivolous, and this is old news, especially at the time of this recording. Second, well, actually, third, those of who's keeping track. Anyway, third, I did point out how I'm like, okay, look, we're gonna basically talk about what the movie gives us. In what does the movie give us that we could kind of poke fun at that didn't make any sense? That's what I made fun of. That's what I did. That's what I talked about. That's where I poked fun. So go check out the video yourself. I'm not remotely touching on any controversies or anything like that. Now, as far as the spoof is concerned, here's the thing. If you really enjoy this movie and you don't like that I spoofed it, I can understand that completely because you're like, hey, I like the movie. Well, I don't hurt the movie. I don't hurt it at all. My spoofs play off of what is given to us. It's not like, okay, I'm just gonna maliciously attack this movie. That's not it. I asked people if they wanted me to do a spoof of this, and I was apprehensive about it, but I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I'll see what I could do, because I knew the controversy around it, just like the Snow White movie would be, a couple years later. But like this right here, she's hanging on to one of the electrical tendrils of the jellyfish. And even if she's not hanging on to like necessarily the tendril that would electrocute her, those other tendrils are literally just bouncing off of her, like just grazing up against her. You mean tell me she's not going to be electrocuted once? I'm like, so like that's where I poke fun at it. I'm like, oh no, it was no, just Nemo had a hard time. Okay, speaking of which, Nemo. And this right here, I either, because like I try, if I know there's controversy around it, I definitely try to play it safe, and I try to like give it like, what does the movie actually give us? I could lean into the controversy stuff, but then I'm no different than every other video you've seen on the movie. So I made fun of stuff that doesn't make sense in this movie that they didn't really talk about. I either try to talk about stuff that they didn't really touch on, or I'll try to give a different perspective of what they did talk about. That's what I try to do. So, in regards to this, if you didn't like that I made this spoof, like I was gonna say, but I got sidetracked, my blood pressure is up in this video, not because I'm angry, but because I was stupid and ate something that was high in salt. So my cheeks are super red in this video. I should have made me red and white. I should have made me black and white for this video and then put like a blue filter over me. But I thought a cool filter would look okay, would look just fine, which it does. I didn't want to go full blue with it because it would have been too much blue on screen. I think I should have went with my first idea, because all you see is my pinkish purplish cheeks shining through. Also, I have, it's not, I can't really, I don't really know if it's premature gray, if you would call it that, because I started getting gray back whenever I was in my late 20s. I'm 32 at the time of this recording. Yeah, I have gray hair starting to show, and it gets pretty bad like whenever they really start to grow out. And in this video, oh gosh, you see it all. It almost looks like I'm balding. Like, it's just, oof, yeesh. So if you don't like that I did this spoof, have a laugh on me. Laugh at my gray hairs, laugh at my red cheeks, laugh at that I'm fat. I don't care, because the whole point is I'm here to entertain you. I'm not here to make you mad. So if I made you mad by making this video, I do apologize. That was not my intent. If anything, I tried to basically give you a spoof that you could enjoy yourself, and ignore the whole racist stuff that a lot of people say about it. I'm a poke fun at this, but we're going to have fun with it, and we're not going to make it about race, because at the end of the day, it's stupid. It's evil to be racist. So yeah, I'm not doing that stuff. But with all that being said, let's move on. Alright, to wrap up this video, we're going to talk about 4 different music videos that I feel were either uninspired, cheap feeling, or I'm just, there wasn't really nothing much to this video type of opinion. So starting with the best of the worst, if you will, James and the Giant Peach music video. I just felt like this one wasn't very, it was uninspired, because all I did was literally remake the music video that they made for the movie, using the same song they made for the movie, and basically just redid the music video. If I could say, okay, to put it simply, it's almost identical to the exact same music video that they made for the movie, minus the clips of Randy Newman actually singing in the sound booth. But I think I did a good job overall, because I couldn't think of a better song to fit it. They did beautifully with it. So I'm like, how would I make it? Like, what clips would I use? But I'm not going to pretend like it's like the most, it was so great and everything. But hey, if you enjoyed it, I am so freaking glad, because I did not want to not entertain with this video. So I enjoy it. I enjoy the movie. I enjoy the song, and I do enjoy my video. But I will admit, this is not one of my favorites, only because it didn't feel like it was original enough, like with an original song. And because like sometimes I'll use a song to kind of illustrate an idea, like, oh well, or another perspective, like say this song is for this one individual character that I feel very strongly about, like this is how I see their story, this is what I'm getting from the movie, this is what it's telling me. I'm like, this is another perspective, kind of like in my Sin City music video I did like last season, I believe, Sin City 2, A Dame to Kill For. The song I used in that movie was called "I'm Not Strong Enough to Stay Away." It was perfect for the narrative and for the character of Dwight. I'm like, so that sort of thing. Anyway, but we're not gonna go. But getting back on point here, I do enjoy this video. However, I do wish it could have been better. I wish I could have come up with a better song, but I couldn't. So you know what? Maybe in the future I will, but I don't know. All right, now. This one, again, it wasn't uninspired this time around, because whenever I was thinking about the narrative of Little Mermaid overall, the movie, the cartoon, the book, etc., I'm like, what if I use that song, do I get what I want? Do I want what I get? And I'm like, that sounds perfect for the scenario. And I think I did a good job. It's just, it's very short, and I wasn't that crazy about the movie overall, like you've already heard me say. I I say I hated the movie earlier. That was a little too strong. I would say I just didn't like it because there were some things in the movie I did like, such as Melissa McCarthy's performance. Halle Bailey does have a nice singing voice. Um, that's it. And it was pretty. It looked nice. That was it. Everything else that was dumb. I didn't care for a lot of the other stuff, but this is not a review. We're not trying to do a review, even though arguably I'll admit some of my previous comments on older videos that I just mentioned probably kind of sounded like I was doing a review. But I enjoyed my editing in this video, though. I mean, like right there, that shot, I purposefully had to make it look like their heads fit in there, because whenever it first did it, Halle Bailey's face was right behind one of the tendrils, and I'm like, no, let me move it over. So, and the fast editing, the little wiping effects, that little thing, I did that for James and Giant Peach and for this one, and it got me in loving that transition. And I'm like, wow, this is actually a very good transition. I should use this more. But either way, I didn't really care for this video, only because I didn't really care for the movie, and the song itself I'm not that crazy about either, but I'm like, hey, I feel like it works, so I used it. Alright, now for this one, I literally just swapped them around because earlier, a couple seasons ago, I did the movie Legend, where Tom Cruise is like a Peter Pan type character. Well, not Peter Pan. He's dressed in like green leaves. He's more like a wild boy, pretty much like a forest boy. Tim Curry played the devil and stuff, because I know there's 2 movies that are called Legend. So at least 2 famous movies that are called Legend. There's probably more. Anyway, I used the song "The Last Unicorn, I'm Alive" in that video, no, for that music video for Legend, because there was only 2 unicorns in the movie, so I figured like there was only two unicorns left in the movie. They never really say that, but it kind of confusingly alludes to it, but that's a conversation for another time, I suppose. So I thought it would be make sense if I literally used a song from the movie Legend in this movie, The Last Unicorn, seeing as how I did the opposite before. And I feel like it kind of made sense, like Love by the Sun, Legends. Legends can be now and forever. I felt like it fit. I mean, it already kind of fit unicorns and stuff like that in the previous movie, so why couldn't it fit here? Aside from that, I was working on a music video for one that I was just like, I got nothing really for this movie anymore. I didn't feel very passionate about it, but I hope I did a good job overall. It's not really one of my favorites. I can't really narrow it down because I liked my editing. I think my editing was just fine. I think the song choice was fine, and I think the clips were fine. I think it works overall. I did have to shorten the song because there's a part of the song where they say, "Sweet songs of youth," no, "Sweet songs of youth, the wise, the meaning of all wisdom." They say that like it feels like 9 times, and then to believe in the good in man, and then they say that part 9 more times, and so I had to condense it a little bit. But like I said, this isn't one of my favorite ones, but I don't hate it at the same time. Alright, wrapping up this video with this particular video. It is not really much, I don't have much to say. It's not very imaginative. I literally saw a YouTube short / TikTok short about the Quetzalcoatlus, enjoyed it, and I wanted to put movie clips to it, or I wanted to make a music video using it, and that's what I did. Also, I couldn't find any other songs for Quetzalcoatlus that was as good as this, in my opinion. Howdy Tunes, which is the ones that I usually get the dinosaur songs from, they didn't have a good one, in my opinion. I did not care for their song. It was too metal. Like, I feel like sometimes their genre doesn't apply to everything. Like, they did one for Dimetrodon, and they did one for Chronosaurus, and they did one for Quetzalcoatlus, and I just felt like it just did not suit it. So I'm like, nah, I like this one much better. So Not really much to tell about that one. I wish I had a better song, not a better song, but necessarily a longer song, because this one was kind of short and sweet. So, not really much else to say on that. So, other than I got to finally use the song, well, I got to use another song from that Dinosaurs Fun Fact and Fiction movie that I liked from the 80s. Um, and you may think we're dinosaurs, oh, but we're not. Though we share similar features that the dinosaurs got. I thought that was kind of fun and somewhat educational. But all right, I think that's gonna wrap it up for these videos. So, okay, like I said, that's gonna wrap it up here. I will admit there, I would not call this the worst about this, but this is what I deem to be quote unquote the worst, or ones that I didn't really feel that strongly about. Worst just sounds catchier, honestly. I don't think I had a very bad video on here. That's up to y'all. You're the viewers. But in my opinion, I don't think I had one that was like super super bad. Uh, Arguably, if I had to pick one that was like the worst of the worst, like the one that I'm just like, ugh, I want to take it down. I wish I had more people to make jokes, more clever jokes with it. Was Last Unicorn and Snow White. But aside Snow White, the movie, the live action movie. I mean, because the jokes I wish could have been funnier, but it's like I didn't feel passionate enough about it. I didn't, it wasn't a passion project for me. So they just weren't that good. But I'm not gonna necessarily take them down at the moment of this recording. I mean, I may take them down later on. I'm gonna watch them a couple more times to see if I still enjoy them any kind of way. So, and if I still enjoy them, I'll keep them up. But if it seems to start to be a problem, like say some people watch it and they just don't care for it and they really are offended by it in some way, I will gladly take it down, because I'm like, look, I'm not here to mock nobody. I'm not here to make fun of nobody, and I do not want to make anybody uncomfortable. With all that being said, let me know if there's anything that y'all wanted me to talk about that I didn't talk about. Let me know. Do y'all agree with my list of worst of Leowolf TV, or are y'all just supportive and y'all are like I don't think you had a worst one. I didn't really care for this list. I don't agree with it because I don't think you had a worst one. Let me know whatever your opinions are in the comment sections down below. See y'all later. May God bless. Farewell wherever y'all fare. And I'll see y'all in Leowolf TV Season 10.